I would say stay humble. Remember that you were an intern, you were a junior analyst somewhere in your past. So never forget where you come from. Help every time you can, and don't ever stop listening. Active listening.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Build to Billions podcast, where we guide successful entrepreneurs and investors on their journey from millions to billions. We believe that the key to scaling your business and compounding your wealth starts every single day with the mindset and practice of stewardship over ownership and applying billionaire biblical principles. Our ultimate goal, to help you scale and compound your wealth and life so you can give more or all of it away to help MVPs. I'm your host today, Brett Swartz. In each and every episode, we feature the world's top entrepreneurs, millionaires, and billionaires. They share their principles, values, secrets, and wisdom, providing each of us with the insights we need to reach the next level of success, faith, and impact. I'm excited about our next guest. He's out of the country of Argentina, and the company he works for is out of Canada. And they are on a mission to help businesses scale, run their business with more cash and less stress. They particularly focus on the e-commerce industry, but everything that we're going to be talking about today can apply to your business in some way or another. Please. And my guest himself is a CFO for 8X. And it's a dynamic e-commerce landscape. He specializes in precision budgeting, advanced financial analysis, strategic advisory, pioneering financial planning, and also transparent reporting, and so much more. Please welcome to the show with me, Leandro D'Elia. And Leandro, how are you?
Thank you for having me here, Brett. I'm good. Thank you.
Excellent. And for our listeners getting to know you for the first time, would you give us just a little bit more about your story and your current focus?
I'm actually an industrial engineer. I don't know how I ended up on the finance world, but basically I like numbers. I started working on a major oil and gas company here in Argentina, and then moved to the e-commerce side. Started working for a knife company in Canada, and then started working with Matt at 8X. And we love to help companies have more cash with less stress.
I love how concise you put that. And for our listeners, also getting to know you for the first time, we believe we've all been given certain gifts in this life, and this gifts have been given to be a blessing and help to others. I'm curious, what would you say is you've been your superpower growing up, or your gift that were you always just great with numbers? Were you always just great with, what was the thing that kind of separated you, and how does that help how you help and bless people today?
I think it's about, first is trying to create a team culture wherever I go. So the first thing I try to do is have a great environment, create great teams, get along with each other. I know we're not going to be I created some friends over the time, but I know we're not going to have dinners. But mainly we're seeing each other probably more than we're seeing our families. So let's get along and let's have a great time. And after that, I would say that it's easy for me to translate different languages. So whenever I have to discuss something from the finance world and tell that to a production manager or a marketing guy, it's easy for me to switch between languages, you could say.
Oh, that's so good. Okay, I'm excited now. See, I think that's why I asked this question, right? So I know how to tailor the questions. Okay, with that in mind, what is the number one secret to creating a precise budget for your business?
I think the first thing is the corner milestone of any business is having a great sales forecast. So the more accurate you can have your sales forecast, the better outcome you will have downstream. So spend time, and I wouldn't say waste time. I would say spend a lot of time trying to have a model that can have a good level of accuracy when it comes to sales forecasting, because after that, it's going to be way simpler to make any decisions, OPEX, CAPEX, whatever. So I would start with a good sales forecast. Conservative, doesn't necessarily have to be aggressive. And then probably prepare a worst case, best case scenario.
Okay, so that was really great. Okay, so have a great sales forecast and spend a lot of time modeling this out, even if it's just a initial draft, right? A conservative or aggressive, and then make sure that your that will determine basically how you can potentially spend or invest. Is that a fair summary so far?
Totally. After
Okay.
that, knowing the gross margin of your products, you will be in a good position to determine whether you can hire more people or you need to hire more people, whether you need to buy a machine if this is a manufacturing company, whether you can increase your stock levels because you're forecasting a big growth. So we need to understand that every time that we say we're going to grow or we're not going to grow, that's going to have big impacts. Best example, if I'm saying that I'm going to, last year I sold 1 million and next year I'm going to sell 5 million, probably I'm going to go ahead and hire people. If that doesn't happen, either I need to fire them or I need to do something because I'm going to spend a lot of money. CapEx, anything, it's going to be driven by the sales forecast.
Okay, that makes sense, right? Because it's also going to help you prepare for that business, either hire more people or not.
That's the idea.
So you mentioned the gross margin of products. So what if it's services versus products, right? Because I know a lot of what you have to do is e-commerce, but maybe e-commerce is products and service sometimes. I don't know. Or are you dealing with services? And break down like if someone's in the service business, how you might, help them understand their gross margins.
What I would say there is try to understand the variable costs of your services. So in this case, we can arbitrarily allocate a percentage of all of the employees' salaries to whatever they are doing as a service. So let's say if I provide a service and usually half of the time of my employees is allocated to deliver something to the clients, then I would say 50% of my headcount is cost of goods sold. You can treat it like that. It's a financial or an accounting way of understanding how much am I spending to deliver my service. After that, then you can say, okay, if the other half of the time they are doing either administrative work, creating invoices, or something that it's not client related, then that should go under SG&A. Or you can have zero gross margin and say, okay, I'm going to hire this amount of people. But what you need to do, what you need to have then, it's a capacity. Understanding your capacity, the capacity of your employees. Can I serve 10, 20, 50 clients with my current headcount? And if I need to add 10 more clients, how many more people do I need? If I'm losing 10 clients suddenly, how many people do I have to let go?
Got it. Okay. So it's really like you're saying, translating the numbers between what to spend, what not to spend, who to hire, what not to hire, and capacity of people too. That makes sense, right? How much am I spending to deliver my service? You mentioned the admin work and you mentioned the other work that's maybe client facing, right? And you said something about 50%, versus the other amount that's this admin behind the scenes. So could you dive a little bit deeper into that? Like when you're saying, am I catching it right? That it sounds like how much of my team members' time is spent engaging with the client directly versus offline behind the scenes. Is that what you're saying on that?
Yes. Probably it's going to be depending on the industry, on the type of service that you're delivering. I would say that usually I would like them to spend at least 70 to 80% of their time doing client things. Or if this is a BA or this is an operations manager that I have inside my company, I know that the entire time of their work, it's not going to be under that gross margin that we just created. But yeah, if I'm hiring someone that's going to be delivering something to a client, ideally I would expect them to work 70, 80% of their time doing things for the client.
Okay, I think this is so important. Now, how do you practically do that, right? Do you do like time tracking of what they're doing? Do you breaking up the day, or do you schedule do you structure the KPIs around the deliverables to the client? Like, back up again, breaking this down even more for us. If someone's in the wealth management or the real estate or some kind of service where how are you helping them to get clarity on that?
I would start to understand. First, you need to understand what's your ideal service time of service. Like if I'm providing something, how long is that service going to last? How long should I take to deliver whatever I'm delivering? After that, you create some sort of a theoretical benchmark for your internal company. So if I think that it should take 3 hours to do the job, then what you start doing is collecting information. If this is something that you can actually measure by tracking the time, then probably you can do it. But let's say you don't want to track the time because people are feeling micromanaged or something like that, or even you don't like to do it. You could say, okay, I think based on my experience that this service should take X amount of hours. And then every single month or every single week, what you do is, okay, how long did it take to do it? And then what you have is enough historical information to have a new set of hours to understand what's the real time that it's taking you to deliver that service. And then it's about understanding probably every people work 8 hours a day. We do things in between. It's not that we're sitting for 8 hours. So you just take out something to eat lunch, to do some things. If I'm expecting them to work 70-80% of the time, then I'm saying, okay, you have 6 hours of your time. If based on all the historical information that I've collected, I think that they can serve 2 clients a day because it takes 3 hours a day per client, that's my full capacity. And then you can either provide different type of services, customized services. So it's going to be depending on the type of service, on the type of client. Also, some clients are more demanding than others. So in some cases, there are some things that you cannot factor in. For example, if I'm delivering something that I think is going to take 3 hours, but suddenly the client calls me every day and I have at least a half an hour call, after a few weeks I can say, okay, what I thought it was going to take 3 hours, now it's taking 4 for this particular client.
Okay, this is so good. Really, what I think we're talking about here is precision time budgeting management, or at least the first part of this, right?
Yeah.
For each of the team members, and understanding that before, so that you can get the cost of goods sold, right? That's what you're saying. So, or, if you're in service business, and so really kind of get into the definition and the clarity on those things so that you can get your gross margin on your products, right? Like you've got to start this thing from the ground up. And if you don't have that, then all the rest of the numbers, garbage in, garbage out, right? So gosh, like that's a lot. And so when you're working with companies, Leandro, especially for the entrepreneur,
think about this. Then you break up everything into each department. So we haven't even got there.
Okay, well, we might as well go there, because I know we could probably spend the whole show talking about this first part. So what do you mean by first department? What does that look like, and what would you do from there?
Of course, small companies probably don't need this because it's spending time or allocating resources to things that are not going to have a great impact on your decision-making process. But eventually, what you will have in any company is you have the sales department, you have the marketing, the production, if it's a manufacturing, you have the administrative, you have every department doing something different. So some of them are not driving revenue. For example, operations, VAs, I don't know, someone doing programming behind the scenes. They are not driving revenue. So we can say, or usually the expression that we use is, each department will have a P&L. Some departments' P&L will show revenue as 0, but they and everyone will know that the net income for that department is going to be negative. But think it this way: every time we do these kind of things, the outcome that we are expecting is understanding trends. Usually I say numbers, and I know it's going to sound nerd, and I'm not proud of this, but usually I say that numbers should tell me a story. Whenever I see the numbers, I should get the story that they should tell me something. If they're not telling me something, then it's useless. I don't need that report. If I'm reading something, I should get either an action point. I need to make a decision. There's something that I should take out from those set of numbers that I'm reading. So whenever I see a P&L, a balance sheet, or a cash flow, I'm trying to read the numbers in a way that they tell me something. Whether, hey, you're growing too fast, you need to hire more people. You're spending a lot of money, you need to start reducing your cut costs, reduce your budget on marketing spend. You're paying a lot of money on meals and entertainment. You're traveling a lot. And that's about trends. So first, and that's why we create a budget. When we try to say, this is what I'm going to do next year, the budget, that after the revenue, what it comes is how you're going to do it. Yeah, I'm going to sell $100 million. Okay, how are you going to do that? By having 50 people doing X amount of work, by buying 3 machines, by creating 7 different SKUs that I'm going to launch every other month. And that's why it's so important to understand what you want to achieve. And that's starting with the sales forecast. If I want to achieve something, the budget is planning how are you going to do it. And whenever we do a budget that makes sense, the budget itself should tell me the story that I should be able to make it. If suddenly I have a client that's telling me that he wants to sell $50 million with 1 people, then the budget itself is going to tell me that probably that's not feasible. And we need to reiterate.
Okay, this is so good. By the way, everyone, Leandro, make sure I pronounce the next name, D'Elia, and you can actually find him and his company at 8x.co, 8x.co. Run your business with more cash and less stress. Their main focus is on e-commerce, CPG and SaaS companies who are between 5 and 80 million in annual revenue and or are venture backed. And obviously they're masterful what they do, and it's pretty incredible what we're talking about here. So my mind's already blown, Leandro, and I'm trying to absorb as much as I can here. I'm also trying to make it very practical for everyone who's listening today. So when you work with entrepreneurs or business owners, right, in companies, and they're thinking about implementing all of these things, right? Well, what is a good cadence for fractional CFO services, or when do you know when to bring in a CFO full time? I heard the CRO, Chief Revenue Officer, kind of that strategy there too, right? Like walk us through some of this, because I feel like when the entrepreneur, the owner hears this, and I'm one of them, right? And we have our COO, but right now I'm like the CFO, but I'm really, I wear many hats, right? And so, I'm creating content. I've got strategy. I'm one-on-one with the client. I've also got, a sales professional who's in training and learning and growing in that scenario. We have fractional COO who's going to become a full-time COO. We have an operations manager. So we have these different pieces in place, right? And we have admin support. But at the same time, I feel like, some of this I'm doing for the first time as we grow and we scale, right, to millions in revenue. So how do you help to bring that under a one cohesive system, right, to do these budgets? Because I feel like it's so dynamic and it's moving all the time. And I'm just gosh, any feedback, if I was sitting down with you, you would say, Brett, step 1, step 2, step 3, what would we walk through?
Yeah, actually we have an 8-week sprint whenever we onboard a client. And first, I would say that you need to know there's a time, you as a CEO and a CFO and all those mini hats that you're wearing, it's going to be a time where you either don't have time to review the financials, or they are too complex for you to understand them. So right now, probably you're running the company the same way you run your house. I know how much money is coming in, I know how much money is coming out. If the net number of that is positive, everyone's happy. But as you grow, and as you have tax implications, as you have different countries where you're selling your service or product, it comes to a time where you need someone with financial expertise. The great thing about fractional CFOs is that you are able to bring a C-level guy with that experience for way less money than if you hire an actual CFO internally. And the other thing is probably if you go ahead and hire a great bookkeeper or a good controller, you're going to get the job done, but not with the same quality of reporting, of understanding the reports and giving you enough information so that you can make great decisions. Usually what I say is I don't like to overwhelm my clients with thousands of reports. The idea of this is having the correct set of reports and correct amount of information so that you can keep making great decisions without reading 10 different reports every day. And that's what a C-level guy can do. Like give in 1-2 pages, give you whatever you need so that you can understand where are the green lights, the yellow and the red lights. I don't think there's a threshold. Like if you're doing more than 5 million a year, you need a fractional CFO. What I would say is you will find yourself struggling to make some decisions, financial decisions. And then the other thing is people usually don't understand how a CFO can help you not only with the financial things, but also with operations, with strategic. Because at the end, I know we're usually the bad guys, but at the end, it's all about having the money to do what you want to do. And in some cases, we are the ones saying, hey, you need to go ahead and buy a machine. You need to hire more people. You need to do this and you need to do that. And that's how we are impacting all the other departments because we understand the numbers and what the numbers are telling us.
Wow.
Yeah, the ideal, last thing. Yes, the ideal path for us is help them grow and eventually they have to let us go because they are so big. They have so many transactions and we have those clients that eventually they need someone full-time.
Got it. Wow. Okay, we're speaking with Leandro D'Elia, and you got to check out 8x.co, 8x.co. Although I want to make sure that whoever's listening, are you guys working? Those are the primary ones, the SaaS companies, the e-commerce, right? It sounds like. Are you working with other companies that are service-based, that are wealth-based, real estate-based, or is it really niche down? Like how do you guys refer out to somebody else? Yeah.
Depending on what you want to achieve. Usually the first conversation that we have is what do you want and also what do you think you want and what do you think you need? And then we can assess if we can help you or not. I have manufacturing companies. I have e-commerce. I have service companies. So it's definitely it's a department that you can extrapolate the financial knowledge to any industry. Of course, some industries require different knowledge. Like if I'm going to do venture capital or if I'm going to do real estate, I need to understand that there are some KPIs, some things that I will need to understand. At the end of the day, it's are you making money or not? And how do I help you achieve that?
Yeah, absolutely. And this is great. 8x.co. This is very fascinating. Okay, so I wonder if we can finish with this thought: the difference between a CFO, COO, and CRO. And what if someone said, "I want to bring in one of those"? What will be the primary differences between those three, or any kind of like KPI? Yeah.
EC, CFO, financial, CRO, sales. CRO is Chief Revenue Officer, and COO is Operations, Chief Operations Officer. None of them are doing the same thing. Some of them can do. A great CFO maybe can help with operations. Actually, for one of my clients, I'm optimizing their supply chain. Probably because I have a background of industrial engineering that allows me to help him doing that. But one, it's taking care of the numbers, of the financials. The other one is taking care of operations, whether it's a product with supply chain, whether it's a service with arranging a great PMO, for example, arranging all the internal team, and chief revenue officer is the one that it's bringing leads, bringing sales.
So good. Gosh, what questions haven't I asked you so far, Leandro, that I should be asking you, especially as it pertains to maybe even explain your 8 weeks, like what that looks like, because that to me seems really fascinating. What is the average commitment for somebody, maybe cost, like what does that look like if someone's like, gosh, I need that, Leandro, what would it look like?
Our 8-week sprint, we developed that in over the course of 3 to 4 months, but we were onboarding bigger clients. And we understood that at the beginning, probably we're going to ask stupid questions. We're not going to sound intelligent, and or at least I'm going to ask a lot of whys. And basically, that 8 weeks sprint is all about me understanding your business up to a detail level where I can tell you, you know what, you have 10 different SKUs. These are your best sellers. These are the ones that you need to push. So every week, it's about a different concept of the company. Revenue, cost of goods sold, SG&A, CapEx, loans, cash flow, balance sheet. So each week, we go over these big concepts and double-click on every single thing inside them so that I can get a full grasp on your business and start adding value. Most cases, we start adding value from week 1. Because once we get to look at the revenue, we see, okay, but why do you have these channels? Do you have a wholesale channel? Do you do this? Do you that? So by asking those kind of questions, usually we trigger questions on the client side. Like, oh, I haven't thought about that. What do we need to do? Because in some cases, for small companies or companies that are just starting, that is the kind of know-how that we bring. Have you ever thought about doing wholesale? No, I haven't, because I'm just starting. Okay, in order for you to do wholesale, these are the things that you need to know.
So much wisdom there. Okay, so 8-week sprints, right? Understand the business, taking one big major segment each week, and then basically you're asking the questions, you're understanding, and you're adding value as you understand the key core eight pieces of the business, and yeah, because I feel like a lot of times people just need a roadmap, right? Like they're not sure where to go. Like in their business or whatever they're doing, they have the roadmap of how to take their customer there, but like doesn't necessarily mean they understand like themselves or where to go next, right? Because they're building it for the first time, right? Or they understood it when it was $1 million revenue, but then when it's 2 million revenue or 5 or 10, like as it builds and you have multiple income streams and multiple hires. So that it's a muscle they have never flexed before, right? I mean, they flex the sales muscle, or they flex the content creation muscle or whatever, right? But they haven't flexed like the numbers game of mastering it. And so I think that's what you're getting at. Is that a fair summary, Leandro?
Totally. Trying to optimize whatever you've done so far and got you here so that we can help you get to the next level.
Yeah. Okay. This is excellent. This is great. Wow. I'm going to see if there's anything else I should ask that I haven't asked already, just about the precision budget. I guess maybe just give us the outcome of this, right? So let's imagine someone goes through all this work, has built precise budget, has clear numbers, has clear KPIs, has clear personnel and the CFO, the CRO, the COO, and they're building this out. They have millions in revenue and they're starting to be in a well-oiled machine, right? Like talk about the outcome for that, like how freeing it is or how empowering it is for your clients once they cross over and they're finally like on the other side of that, what could be so daunting. Give us some of the positive outcomes that you've had for some of your clients and where they go from there.
Great question. Usually, starting the process of a budget, it's really difficult. So at the beginning, probably it's not going to be good. You're going to do a bad budget. And it's not going to be useful, but I would say start. Why? Because by doing that, first you're exercising the brain in a way that you haven't before, and then you will have something to compare yourself. You can change that month over month, and instead of a budget, you can create different forecasts, but you need to compare yourself. It's not about competing with other clients or trying to beat our top one competitor in the industry. First, you need to understand how are you doing compared to yourself 1 year ago. And then the main outcome of the budget is anticipation, planning. The main reason why we want to make plans and we want to create strategies, and probably why since the World War One, or basically strategic and planning started with wars, is because we want to anticipate what's going to happen. And the higher accuracy we have for that anticipation, the better we can make decisions. A couple of examples. The possible outcomes for a budget are how to spend your money, whether you will need money or not, and you need to start seeking for money right now. Usually, by the time you need money, it's too late. So you need to start months ago if you need a loan. So that budget should tell you, hey, you know what? A year from now, you will probably need to find a loan for $1 million. Start doing it now. 6 months from now, probably you'll need 10 more people to do what you want to do. Start doing your recruiting right now. A year from now, you will be doing 15 different events. So you need to budget for how much money you will need for those events. The type of clients that you're trying to acquire usually pay with terms of 45 days. So whatever you're selling today, you're not collecting in 45 days. Where are you going to find the money to pay for the salaries for month one, knowing that whatever you sell on month one, you're receiving that on month two? So there are a lot of potential outcomes from a budget that should help you make decisions, because eventually it's all about that. How do I make great decisions with the information I have? And the higher the accuracy of the model, the better the decision is going to be. Because if I trust the model, and the model is telling me that I need to do something in 6 months, and I can start doing it right now, by the time it happens, I'm already prepared, and there's nothing I can do. I don't need to panic. I don't need to put out fires every other week. So the whole idea is, how do I do what I want to do without stressing every single week because I'm finding new problems that I haven't even thought about them.
Gosh, that's so good. I feel like that's like 2 or 3 books in one podcast, everybody. This is Leandro just speaking and dropping wisdom on all things precise budgeting and finances and numbers, fractional CFO, and diving in. My brain is full, and I'm like so grateful for the wisdom you've shared with us today. Are you ready for the lightning round, Leandro?
Totally.
All right. So after, someone builds up their company, hires your services, right, and is like totally crushing it, right? And then they're going to exit for 5, 10, 20, 30, 50, $100 million, right? They may be faced with huge capital gains taxes. So I'm talking about, we'll focus on the U.S. customers for now, right? What is like the biggest or strategy or ways that people might come to you and say, oh, I'm going to sell now. They get huge capital gains taxes. Do you have like a go-to provider to help them defer that capital gains tax?
Yes, we have tax guys that can help you optimize your tax schedule payments. We're also doing M&As in some cases, but we have a team of people that have an expertise on how to optimize taxes, what to do when it comes to big M&As, what to do with the money that you're going to win. Let's say I'm going to sell the business, I'm going to get $10 million, I'm going to travel the world. Okay, I can put you in a table with someone that can help you invest that money wisely. We have a go-to guy for every potential outcome, whatever that is.
Okay, awesome. So I'm going to maybe add to potentially a go-to guy for you, because most people haven't been able to figure out what we do, the way we do it. It's with capital gains tax solutions. So a lot of people know how to invest once it's closed and do it well. A lot of people know how to build it up and get a good price for the M&A work and do the taxes while it's there. But it's the in-between where the capital gains tax is between 20 and 50%. And you might have that too, but I'll just throw this out there for the listeners. We use something called a deferred sales trust. Our company is called Capital Gains Tax Solutions, and we wrote a book called Building a Capital Gains Tax Exit Plan. This is our main focus, our main niche. and basically allows the entrepreneur to sell, defer the capital gains taxes, and invest into real estate or a business or a startup or Bitcoin or stock, all tax deferred without any charity, life insurance, or gifting required. But the best part about it is there's no timing restrictions. So as the entrepreneur, you don't have to be kind of forced into this small hole or small window or small box to have to do certain things in certain ways. You can truly diversify, right? I'm curious, have you ever heard of that one before called a deferred sales trust?
I haven't heard about that trust. I know in some cases that people tend to diversify their money to reduce their tax exposure, but definitely I'll read that book and you will be one of my go-to guys from now on.
Awesome. I love that. Next question would be number one book you have recommended or gifted the most in the past year.
In the past year, I've read a couple of good ones. Probably I would say The Intelligent Investor, the number one book for Warren Buffett. 7 Habits for Most Intelligent People. And then, no, those two were probably the ones that were the big impact for me.
Okay, awesome. What about for the person who's like wanting to start to scale their budgeting and their numbers? Like, what book would you recommend for them?
What I would say there's a great book called I think it's How to Be a Great CEO. I'll look for the name. I think that's the name.
Okay.
But I would try to read for someone who's starting a company, I would give them something related to EOS. That's a framework that we started using a year ago or so, and it's really helpful because it's a great framework for startups, and it gives you a lot of ideas on how to structure your business in an easy way. So I would say anything related to EOS.
Okay, perfect. Let's see. Number one leadership quote or theme that you strive to live by.
Everyone is dispensable, so be happy while you're doing it. And the other one that I heard Tom Hanks probably said it is that this too shall pass. So be sad, be happy, but you need to wake up next day.
That's good. Number one way using ChatGPT.
Oh, ChatGPT! It's I asked ChatGPT if I can go to the bathroom. But it's amazing. ChatGPT, it's a big change in humanity. But the main thing I asked ChatGPT is, by reading any document, can you give me the green, yellow, and red flags right away? So that I know if I need to go deep and actually read the document line by line.
Wow. Then that's powerful right there. That was awesome. So good right there. That was so good. Last question. After all your success, helping all the people you've helped, how do you best stay centered in your values and stay encouraged to reach even higher heights?
I would say stay humble. Remember that you were an intern, you were a junior analyst somewhere in your past. So never forget where you come from. Help every time you can. And don't ever stop listening, active listening. Because I think that nowadays the most important thing is communication. And I was saying this the other day to a friend. Most of my failures, both personal and professionally speaking, were due to either miscommunication or a failure in the communication. So spend an extra 5%, 10% of your time listening to your people, because they will tell you what you need to hear.
Oh, so good. Gosh, I am completely blown away. Honestly, you're one of the best guests I've ever had. I've had hundreds of guests, over close to 300 now. Leandro D'Elia, I want to thank you for being on the show, dropping so much wisdom on how to build a precise business budget and so much more. I want to encourage you to keep using your strengths of great communication, great listening, creating a team culture, getting along, having fun along the way. I love that. Great environment, right? To have a place where you can communicate and help people. So that is so needs your help. For our listeners who want to get in touch with you, could you remind them one last time what's the best place for them to find you?
Probably LinkedIn or our website, 8x.co.
Awesome. Thank you, Leandro. And also thank all of our listeners for listening to another episode of the Build to Billions podcast. As always, we're on this journey with you to bring in amazing guests like Leandro, who are going to guide us to be successful entrepreneurs and investors on our journey from millions to billions. And we believe that the key to scaling our business, your business, and compounding your wealth, our wealth, is every single day practicing a mindset of stewardship over ownership and applying billionaire biblical principles. Our ultimate goal is to help you scale and compound your wealth in life so you can give more all of it away to help MVPs. My name is Brett Swartz. I still appreciate everyone watching or listening out there. Check out 8x.co for all things that Leandro talked about. And if you're exiting a highly appreciated asset, check out building a capital gains tax exit plan. It's the ideal way to, we believe, to exit in a way that gives you flexibility and freedom, all tax deferred for Bitcoin, businesses, real estate, or any other asset, multiple $1 million of exit planning right here all in this book. Check it out. Appreciate everyone watching, listening out there. Please rate, review, subscribe, and we'll talk to you all real soon. Bye now.